When I first met David, I thought I had found the man who would change my life forever. I was 24, wild and impulsive, and he was calm, steady and deeply kind. He loved me in a way no one ever had before, without conditions, without playing games. He was the kind of man who remembered the little things, who made me feel safe even when the world felt chaotic. When we got married a year later, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. But the truth is, I wasn't ready for the life we were building. In the first few years of our marriage, before we had kids, there were moments when I felt trapped. David worked long hours, and I told myself I was lonely. That's when the mistakes happened. Twice, 2 separate times. I crossed a line I never should have crossed. I convinced myself it was harmless, that I could keep those secrets buried forever, and that they didn't really mean anything. I cried after both times, promised myself I'd never do it again, and when our children were born, I kept that promise. I thought I had closed that chapter for good. For 20 years, I played the role of a perfect wife and mother. We had 2 kids, a beautiful home, and what everyone around us called the perfect marriage. David was the rock of our family. He worked hard to give us everything we had, and I truly loved him. But last month, that perfect life came crashing down. David found out. I still don't know how. Maybe someone from my past told him, maybe he pieced it together himself. But one evening he sat me down at our dining table. The same table where we'd celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and countless family dinners. And he looked at me with a calm I'll never forget. "I know what you did," he said quietly. In that moment my heart stopped. I tried to explain, to tell him it had been so long ago, that it didn't mean anything. But David didn't raise his voice. He just nodded slowly, as if he had already made up his mind long before this conversation. The next morning, David was gone before I woke up. When I came downstairs, there was an envelope on the kitchen counter with my name on it. Inside was a letter, short, handwritten, and final. He wrote that he still loved me in some way, but he could no longer stay in a marriage built on lies. He said he had spent months thinking about this, that he had given me every chance to be honest with him, and I hadn't taken it. He ended the letter with a line that cut through me like glass. "You chose for me a long time ago. Now I'm just catching up." Within a week, the divorce papers arrived. He moved out of the house and into a small apartment across town. Our grown kids were devastated, confused why their dad, the man who had never missed a single soccer game or school recital, was suddenly leaving. I had to sit them down and tell them the truth. The look on their faces broke me more than David's letter ever could. My daughter didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. My son said he needed space and stopped coming by the house. I thought maybe David would calm down, that we could go to therapy, that we could fix this. I begged him to talk to me, but he was resolute. "I gave you 20 years, Claire," he said the last time we spoke face to face. "I can forgive you, but I can't live with you anymore." And then came the financial blow. Because of the prenup we had signed early in our marriage, something I never thought would matter, the house, the savings, and most of what we built together went to him. He had protected everything long before we even had kids. I was left with my car, a small personal account, and not much else. I had always thought of myself as a good wife because I stayed faithful after those 2 mistakes. I convinced myself that counted for something. But now, standing in an empty house, staring at walls that used to hold our life together, I realized that my past choices had finally caught up with me. And there was no way to undo them. The months after the divorce were the hardest I had ever faced. The house felt cavernous without David's quiet presence. Even the creak of the floorboard seemed louder, mocking me with reminders of what I had lost. Nights were the worst. I would sit in the kitchen with a cup of tea, staring at the chair where David used to read the newspaper every morning, wishing I could go back in time and shake the younger version of myself, tell her not to throw everything away for a few moments of thrill. I tried to distract myself by keeping busy. I took extra shifts at work, joined a book club, even started volunteering on weekends. But no matter how many things I filled my schedule with, there was this hollow ache inside me. People talk about fresh starts after divorce, about freedom, about new chances. But mine didn't feel like freedom. It felt like exile. Eventually, I reached out to my kids again. My daughter was the first to soften. She came over one evening, and we sat on the porch for hours, talking through tears. "Mom," she said quietly, "I still love you, but I don't understand you." Her words were painful, but they were also a start. My son took longer. He still visits David more often than me, and I can see the disappointment in his eyes when we talk. David, for his part, seems lighter now. When I see him at family gatherings, he looks free. There's a quiet strength about him. A man who chose to protect himself after carrying someone else's mistakes for too long. I can't even be angry at him. In fact, a part of me admires him for finally doing what I never had the courage to do, walking away from what was broken. Sometimes I wonder if I deserved this ending, if this was the only way life could have gone after what I did. And maybe it was. Actions have consequences, even if it takes 20 years for them to come due. I cheated twice and thought I had buried those choices. But the truth never stays buried forever. Now I live quietly, learning to sit with my regret. I know I will never get David back, never rebuild what we had. But maybe this pain is the price I must pay. A reminder that love is not guaranteed, and betrayal always comes with a cost.